Welcome back, warrior. We're reading First Nephi chapter 18, and aren't you lucky that I have somewhere to go? Otherwise, I would be immersed in these scriptures even longer. Something that I read today that I was sad that it wasn't from chapter 18, but it was from our Read It, Live It from the Don't Miss This. And it just was so good. Even though it applies to chapter 17, I still feel like I want to read it now. So it says, if the Lord has such great power and has wrought so many miracles among the children of men, how is it that he cannot instruct you to go build your ship? I'm talking to you. Go build your ship. And you know that because I have such a passion about creation and using our skills and unearthing our abilities and talents and experiences when we're working with the Lord to develop those, to unearth those in our lives. There is healing there. And I love the fact that they said to go build our ship, because sometimes that is so hard for us to do because we're stuck in this place and we don't know what to do. And there's healing when we can co-create with Christ, and it just kind of accelerates our healing because we're no longer stuck in the same place that we were. And so I love that, and it's part of the crush framework to get us out of that stuck place, to get us into accelerated healing. And it's just awesome. So go build that ship. And now we're going to read chapter 18 in First Nephi. Oh yeah. So I'm going to read the summary here. And then like I did yesterday, we're going to read from the redheaded hostess. Okay. It says, the ship is finished. The births of Jacob and Joseph are mentioned. The company embarks for the promised land. The sons of Ishmael and their wives join in revelry and rebellion. Nephi is bound, and the ship is driven back by a terrible tempest. Nephi is freed, and by his prayer, the storm ceases. They arrive in the promised land. Okay. The ship is finished, right? Isn't that like everybody's rejoicing now all of a sudden? Okay, so verse 1, and it came to pass that they did worship the Lord and did go forth with me. And we did work timbers of curious workmanship. I think curious just means like that they didn't know before, right? And the Lord did show me from time to time after what manner I should work the timbers of the ship. And sometimes it's going to look curious to us. And sometimes it's going to look curious to other people, the way and the methods that the Lord is helping us discover new things and skills and talents and things. And so keep that in mind. It's going to look curious to you and probably to other people. But it doesn't matter because you are working with the Lord to accomplish his work, right? Okay, verse 2. And now I, Nephi, did not work the timbers after the manner which was learned by men. Neither did I build the ship after the manner of men, but I did build it after the manner which the Lord had shown unto me. Wherefore it was not after the manner of men. And I love that he further emphasized that, like, just FYI, I did not build it according to the popular way to build things. And so he built it in the manner that the Lord wanted him to build things. And the manner that we want to build things, it's okay to pattern ourselves on at first, since we're not sure and we're still learning. It's okay to pattern yourselves after maybe some examples that you see. And as an entrepreneur who loves to like start businesses, like that's what I do. I see a pattern of how somebody started something. I'm like, I can do that. But then there's a point when you just need to have the Lord help you because you don't know how to go any further. And when you can do that with the Lord, you can accelerate that process. You can build faster. You can accomplish those things that nobody thought you could do or that you didn't even think you could do. And so it's just awesome that way. So verse 3, and I, Nephi, did go into the mount oft, and I did pray oft unto the Lord. Wherefore the Lord showed unto me great things. So what does the mountain represent? Again, it's the temple and communicating with the Lord there in that sacred space, right? Because he didn't say like, I said many prayers where I was, right? Like he had to go out of his normal environment and go to the mountains of the Lord. And we too need to step out of our normal environment, go to the temple, because that is our mountain, and commune with the Lord there, ask him the questions we want to ask, find the answers we need, and show him that we are working with him, that we need him to help us, right? And that he went there oft, whatever that might mean for you. What is often, right? Because that's what that like oft is like a shorter version of often. And if you don't go to the temple right now at all, then going at least a couple times is more frequent than not and would be considered oft based on previous experience. If you go to the temple once a week, what would that look like if you were to consider it oft? So for you, so then maybe it's twice a week, and so on and so forth, right? Like how would you be able to build and co-create with God and what's my question? And how often would you need to commune with him and communicate with him so that you could get the pattern that you need? When I did the temple challenge, I did it originally for 30 days. And then I was like, this is so awesome. I'm doing it for 60 days. And I never saw anyone else do that until my mom invited one of her friends. And I had got the prompting earlier, maybe you should go to the temple every day, Linda. And I was like, well, I don't know. That seems pretty much a lot of work. And so I was like, plus nobody does it, right? Why? Because it's curious workmanship. And so then when my mom invited her friend to come, and I was like, what? Wait, you go every day? And she's like, oh yeah. And she'd been doing it for like a year or something. And it was just awesome for her. And I was like, oh wow. And this was like the Lord answering my question, like, nobody does this. And then he's like, here's one person that does it. And I was like, okay, point taken. Somebody is going, and they're going every day. And so then I was like, fine, I will try to do this every day. And I went every day for 30 days. Then I went every day for 60 days. And then you know what happened? I loved it so much that I started going even more regular. And then do you know what happened? COVID shut down is what happened. And I was so incredibly grateful that I had followed that prompting to go every day, because when I couldn't, I felt it. I felt how hard it was not being able to go to the mountain of the Lord. And it didn't matter how many times people told me that my house is as holy as the temple. Like, I wanted to go to the temple, and I would draw on the strength that I got from being able to go that time. And it was amazing. And I need to do that challenge again because it is fantastic. But you know, it's just one of those things. I went every day, even when it was Sunday and it was closed. I was like, I'm going to go to temple grounds. And so I would bring the kids and we would do fun things. And it was just awesome to be on temple grounds in the temple every day of the week. So anyways, I challenge you to do something, to go often to the temple and see the difference that it makes in your life. Okay, this is taking way too long because I already have to leave. Okay, for verse 4, and it came to pass that after I had finished the ship, according to the word of the Lord, my brethren beheld that it was good. Finally, they approved, right? And the workmanship thereof was exceedingly fine. Wherefore, they did humble themselves again before the Lord. Figures, right? Because they were like, oh, my brother was right. He does know how to build a ship with the Lord. How were they so surprised? Anyways, and it came to pass that the voice of the Lord came unto my father, that we should arise and go down into the ship. So verse 6, and it came to pass that on the morrow, after we had prepared all things, much fruits and meat from the wilderness, and honey in abundance, and provisions according to that which the Lord had commanded us, we did go down into the ship with all our loading and our seeds, and whatsoever thing we had brought with us, every one according to his age. Wherefore we did all go down into the ship with our wives and our children. And now my father had begat 2 sons in the wilderness. The elder was called Jacob, and the younger Joseph. Also, this guy's old, having kids. It's amazing. And it came to pass, you know, infertility is hard to have, and it makes it worse when a bunch of people have kids when they're like super old in the scriptures. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry if you're experiencing that, because I get it. Verse 8, and it came to pass after we had all gone down into the ship and had taken with us our provisions and things which had been commanded us, we did put forth into the sea and were driven forth before the wind towards the promised land. Okay, so they were just like kind of going, right? Driven by the wind. Sometimes us being driven by the wind is not a good thing, but here it actually is, right? Okay, and then Red Headed Hostess says that it is now time for them to fill the boat with supplies and set sail towards the promised land. Imagine that moment when they put forth into the sea, never to return again to the land of their fathers and the only land they have ever known. Wow, I didn't even think of that. So I love that she brought that up. It's pretty crazy, right? To just like leave a land. I was thinking, we just went to Greece, as you know, and we just realized, and we, like, I was thinking, like, I would totally move to Greece, you know, but I wouldn't want to live there forever. So I would only want to go there for like 2 years and then come back. Because I still feel like this is home. And so I don't know if I could do the whole, like, y'all gotta move and stay forever away, you know. Plus, back in the day, they didn't have, like, the same tech that they have now. Who knows if they could have found it where they were again, right? Okay, verse 9. And after we had been driven forth before the wind for the space of many days, behold, my brethren and the sons of Ishmael, and also their wives began to make themselves merry. Merry. Insomuch that they begat to dance and to sing and to speak with much rudeness, yea, even that they did forget by what power they had been brought thither. Yea, they were lifted up unto exceeding rudeness. So coarse manners, incivility, vulgarity. It's kind of those things that we leave behind if, I heard if you're like drunk or something. Those are some of the things that kind of go out the window. So I'm guessing that's probably what happened. And I, Nephi, began to fear exceedingly, lest the Lord should be angry with us and smite us because of our iniquity, and we should be swallowed up in the depths of the sea. Wherefore, so he must have been feeling like really anxious when this stuff was happening, because he's seen the pattern, like, hey, when my brothers are not good, then we don't get blessings. When our brothers are not good, I don't get direction. When our brothers aren't good or making bad choices, then we don't get to go where we're supposed to go, right? So he was feeling a lot of anxiety and stuff like that, I'm sure. And I, Nephi, began to speak to them with much soberness, that meaning like gravity or seriousness, right? But behold, they were angry with me, saying, we will not that our younger brother shall be ruler over us, right? Like, didn't you guys just see that we built this ship and you still aren't gonna listen to what I'm saying? Like, anyways, poor guy. And it came to pass that Laman and Lemuel did take me and bind me with cords on his own ship. And they did treat me with much harshness. Nevertheless, the Lord did suffer it, and that he might show forth his power unto the fulfilling of his word, which he has spoken concerning the wicked. Now, the Lord allowed this to happen. And sometimes he allows things to happen to us too. Because he can't just jump in as a parent all the time, right? And so sometimes we allow things to happen. Like, I'm going to allow my kids to learn how to go up and down the stairs because eventually they need to be able to do it by themselves. Are they going to fall? Yeah. And is it going to hurt? For sure. Could it be really severe? Totally. But am I still going to let them do it by themselves? Yeah. So, I mean, am I going to jump in when they are hurt and then help them because they're crying? Yes. Sometimes that might take me longer than normal, but yeah. But so that's the sad part when the Lord allows things to happen to us and we don't know why, right? And I'm sure that Nephi if he had been writing in his journal right then, it probably wouldn't have seemed so positive the way that he wrote it. Verse 12, and it came to pass that after they had bound me insomuch that I could not move, the compass which had been prepared of the Lord did cease to work. Well, it better. You know what I mean? Like, something needs to stop. And what's so crazy is just like Nephi built the ship, with the help of his brothers. But like, really, you're going to tie this man up on his own ship? Like, so wrong. Somebody needs a beating. Anyway. Okay, so verse 13, wherefore they knew not whither they should steer the ship, for sure, of course. They're not feeling the Spirit. They're choosing to bind their brother and making poor choices, and they're drunk or whatever. So like, how is anything going to work? Even if you gave them direction, would they even be able to take it? Like, we know the people who drive drunk don't know what's going on and don't know where to go. And it's like, impossible, you know? So anyway, one time I was sleepy driving and I got pulled over, and the officer made me walk the line, and he was so shocked that I could walk the line because he swore I was drunk. And and then he made me walk it again, and I walked it. And then did I have to take a breathalyzer? I think so. And like, I just remember, like, he was just so surprised. He's like, wait, you're not drunk. I don't get this. And I think that was like way back in the day when sleepy driving wasn't like a thing. And so yeah, he was like, he totally let me go. But like, obviously I was no longer sleepy. Like, you're sleepy driving, and like, it was like midnight or something. Anyway, you're sleepy driving, but the second those lights start following you, your adrenaline kicks in and you are no longer sleepy driving. Now you're like wigging out and crying. And so like, he could not even tell that I was sleepy. But of course I was a little bit sleepy because it was taking me like 15 minutes to get home. Anyway, now we have addressed the sleepy driving so that I don't do that. But it was crazy when I did that. And so, yeah, it makes sense that, you know, they're not going to get good direction at all. And they're not going to get direction from the Lord because they are not making good choices. So, so anyway, so they didn't know where to steer the ship, and insomuch that there arose a great storm, yea, a great and terrible tempest, and we were driven back upon the waters for the space of 3 days. And they began to be frightened exceedingly, lest they should be drowned in the sea. Nevertheless, they did not loose me. Okay, I don't know whatever makes them think that, like, hey, we tied up our brother. Like, they're not, 1 and 2 don't go together. The discernment skills here are very low. We tied up our brother and it was good weather. Before we tied up our brother, it was good weather. Then we tied him up and it was bad weather. And now we don't know where to go. Come on, Lemuel, you got this. Like, how did nobody know what was happening? And they let it happen for 3 days. I would be so mad, even if I was Nephi, dude. Nephi is so strong. He's the best. And on the 4th day, which we had been driven back, the tempest began to be exceedingly sore. Yeah. Something's got to change, right? And this goes to show you that the Lord's not going to let it go too far, right? But it's going to go pretty far. And it came to pass that we were about to be swallowed up in the depths of the sea. And after we had been driven back upon the waters for the space of 4 days, my brethren began to see that the judgments of God were upon them. It's probably taking that long for them to be sober from all their drinking. My brethren began to see that the judgments of God were upon them, and that they must perish, save that they should repent of their iniquities. Wherefore they came unto me and loosed the bands which were upon my wrists. And behold, they had swallowed exceedingly, and also mine ankles were much swollen, and great was the soreness thereof. He is underplaying this because this is so much further into the future when he's writing this. I bet it was like bleeding and stuff. Like, he was tied up to the like ship some way, and with cords, okay, and then the ship is experiencing storms. Could you just imagine trying to like be in a storm and like holding on to whatever it is that they tied you to, and like your wrists are going to be rubbing against that cord like crazy, right? I mean, it would be one thing if you were just sitting there like this, but it's a completely other problem when you're going like this, like, anyway. So just imagine, right? And then I think if you watch the Book of Mormon videos, it kind of shows a little bit of that too. Nevertheless, I did look unto my God, and I did praise him all the day long, and I did murmur against the Lord I did not, Nephi, I'm like, what? And I did not murmur against the Lord because of mine afflictions, because Nephi knows better. Okay, verse 17, and here we go. Now my father Lehi had said many things unto them, and also unto the sons of Ishmael. But behold, they did breathe out much threatenings against anyone that should speak for me. And my parents, being stricken in years, and having suffered much grief because of their children, they were brought down, yea, even upon their sick beds. Yeah, because now they're experiencing anxiety and stress and worry and stuff. You know, they're sick with worry. So it was just like the great sadness upon the boat, right? Because of their grief and much sorrow and the iniquity of my brethren, they were brought near even to be carried out of this time to meet their God. Yea, their gray hairs were about to be brought down to lie low in the dust. Yea, even they were near to be cast with sorrow into the watery grave. I don't know how many times I've looked up, can you die of sadness? Raise your hand if you've looked that up. It's kind of sad how many times I've actually looked that up. Can you die of a broken heart? Look it up. I think there's like a name for it, but it's too long that I don't know what it is. I can't remember. Anyways, it's really sad how many times I've looked that up, but it's true that we can get out of that. Anyway, verse 19, and Jacob and Joseph also, and apparently Nephi also thought this, right? And the parents also thought this. And Jacob and Joseph, also being young, having need of much nourishment, were grieved because of the afflictions of their mother. And also my wife with her tears and prayers, and also my children did not soften the hearts of my brethren, that they would loose me. And there was nothing, save it were the power of God, which threatened them with destruction, could soften their hearts. Wherefore, they're like past feeling, right? Wherefore, when they saw that they were about to be swallowed up in the depths of the sea, they repented of the thing which they had done, insomuch that they loosed me. Finally, right? Honest, these kids. I call them kids. And it came to pass, after they had loosed me, behold, I took the compass, and it did work whither I desired it. And it came to pass, not because they softened their hearts, I think, but because the Lord had so much mercy on Joseph, or on Nephi. And it did work whither I desired it. And it came to pass that I prayed unto the Lord. And after I had prayed, the winds did cease and the storm did cease. And there was a great calm, right? Because Nephi never murmured. So of course the Lord is going to help him out when the time came, right? To kind of show his hand in all this. But anyways, and it came to pass that I, Nephi, did guide the ship, that we sailed again towards the promised land. And it's just so crazy to me that this is what's happening. And it came to pass that after we had sailed for the space of many days, we did arrive at the promised land. I would have overthrown their brother, like off the ship. See if you can find the promised land in the water. We did arrive at the promised land, and we went forth upon the land and did pitch our tents, and we did we did call it the promised land. And it came to pass that we did begin to till the earth, and we began to plant seeds. I feel like we need to spend a little bit more time on that, but we won't have time today. And it came to pass that we did begin to till the earth, and we began to plant seeds, yea, and we did put all our seeds into the earth, which we had brought from the land of Jerusalem. And it came to pass that they did grow exceedingly, wherefore we were blessed in abundance. I love this. They did use all the seeds, which is not how I plant stuff, by the way. I'm like not a planter, and I don't do gardens. But the year that I got pregnant with Flora with the COVID, we started a garden, and that was the only garden that I have successfully been able to pull off. Any other gardens after that? So it was our growth year with Flora, 9 months of growth. And that was it. But also, like, I usually plant stuff and I'm always like, how many seeds do I put in this spot? And how many seeds? And you know how they're always like, just put the one and just put the, I'm always like, let's do 5, because I don't think like one's going to work. And what if that one's dead? And what if this one doesn't grow that much? So I better put like 5 in the one little hole. So, I mean, I'm like the worst gardener. Okay. So yeah, it's the worst. Anyways. So, and then I reserve seeds, because then I tape them up, and I feel like I'm going to be able to do this another day. I don't know why. And so then I have a bunch of seeds that go dead later. So love their method, use them all, and make it abundant, right? It's going to be abundant. And verse 25, and it came to pass that we did find upon the land of promise, as we journeyed in the wilderness, that there were beasts in the forests of every kind, both the cow and the ox and the ass and the horse and the goat and the wild goat and all manner of wild animals, which were for the use of men. And we did find all manner of ore, both of gold and of silver and of copper. And this must have been like so awesome that they were so excited. Of course, they called it the promised land because they were excited that it provided everything that they had ever wanted, right? President Russell M. Nelson, he says, loyalty to the Lord carries an obligation of loyalty to those called by the Lord to lead his church. He has empowered that men be ordained to speak in his holy name as they guide his unsinkable boat safely toward the shore of salvation. We would do well to stay on board with them. No waters can swallow the ship where lies the master of ocean and earth and skies. End quote. I love the song, Master, the Tempest is Raging, and he just quoted that. And so, of course, go listen to that song, Master, the Tempest is Raging. And I remember just listening to that song over and over and over again in primary, and it was just so amazing. After that immediate feeling of like being betrayed, and after D-Day and everything, like that song was like so good. Anyways, thanks for being here. Thanks for reading scriptures with me and being my scripture buddy. I want you to remember what I said at the very beginning, is to go build your ship and go plant those gardens, right? Because they're going to be abundant, and we're going to get to our promised land with the Lord. And don't be like Laman and Lemuel, okay? And we'll see you tomorrow. Stay strong, warrior.